fixed to start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares are the best part of my day.
The goods from the wood.
Hot damn!
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley,
And I'm Pat Riley.
and this is kind of a first for the show. We're on the road. We're coming.
It's not the first time we've done a field recording because we've had an episode where we went to Shakey's for Bunch of Lunch.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah,
And we thought that we would be the hype men for Bunch of Lunch, much in the way in which a sports drive time talk radio would when they go to your local bar. We went to Shakey's and we found out we weren't actually asked to do this, and this wasn't actually a gig. We just kind of
we just assumed we'd get there
and they would see our celebrity and
they would throw pizza at us.
yeah,
like,
and they did.
Yeah.
But we still had to pay the $7.50 for it.
Right,
but that's fine.
And today we've somehow found our way into a space even more depressing than a Shakey's on Sunset Boulevard in East Hollywood. Tell them where we are, Pat.
I wouldn't say it's depressing. It's we're in a moose lodge.
I feel like we're in a fucking time machine.
Well, all moose lodges are a time machine because the moose was huge during the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, and there's still people that are members of the moose fraternal organization.
What is the difference between the moose and the elks?
I don't know in particular, but it's of the same sort of group as the moose, the elks,
The lions.
the Lions Club is a little bit.
I think
different.
they collect glasses.
What about Rotary?
Yeah, and we're here.
Civitan.
We're here with a number of people because we're here actually at the Moose, not because we are members of the Moose, but we're here.
We're not?
We're not members of the Moose.
We are not Meese.
But we're here because we are having pro wrestling here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, as some of you guys know, Pat and I are your commentary team for the Brian Kendrick's professional wrestling that comes to you live on Twitch once a month from a couple different locations.
Various venues.
Most recently, CIA, California Institute of Abnormal Arts. But today, we are at the Moose Lodge in Burbank.
Yeah, and we've previously done shows at American Legion Halls, so we might as well hit every lodge / club all around. We might do the Elks next. We might do a Knights of Columbus Hall.
I was going to say we need a church basement to hit.
Are you guys? Is there a plan of doing another institute as well? The California Institute of Arts.
Oh well, I was hoping we could do
abnormal arts.
I was hoping.
By the way, who the hell am I?
You're Eric Barnes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Did we not introduce you?
Nope.
Eric Barnes, previous guest of the show, and one of the fantastic announcers here at Wrestling Pro Wrestling.
Some of the top talent that we feature here at Wrestling Pro
fucking
Wrestling.
A, yeah, only the best.
I am the second best ring announcer of Wrestling Pro Wrestling of two that I'm aware of.
But the one that's not fighting normally.
No, I do get fought at, but not.
Yeah, it took a hell of a stunner a couple months ago.
Most of the fighting is verbal. A lot of verbal sparring
between me and you mainly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so we're having tonight's summer squash.
Summer squash. Yeah, I was saying two things. One, if we have a wrestling show in a church basement, that will be indie wrestling bingo. We will have done everything. We've done a bar, we've done an American Legion Hall, a Moose Lodge, and if we get a church basement, then we get to yell bingo.
Has Wrestling Pro Wrestling ever done a parking lot?
A parking lot, minor league baseball stadium.
Minor league baseball stadium.
I guess that's the next tier.
Yeah, I think the next tier is not just parking lot, but parking lot for the opening of like a used car dealership.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's
be
the next thing.
That would be perfect with the big wacky Bailey buddies.
Inflatable to people.
Tube men. Yeah, exactly.
I want to see someone get slammed into a giant inflatable gorilla.
Yeah,
there's always the inflatable. That was the big thing when I was growing up. There was this guy that had a giant, I'd say about 20 foot inflatable gorilla with with no pants. Actually, maybe he was wearing like Zubaz or something, Zubaz shorts. But he was wearing.
Was there a shirt though?
There was a tank top, and he had like the.
It had like the Honda logo on it.
And he had like the Macho Man Randy Savage sunglasses. He was cool. He was like 19. He was from 1992 probably, and somebody got it at like a.
1992 cool. So
which is
tank top sunglasses were the rollerblades on this gorilla.
So we're here for the wrestling.
The other thing you asked if we were going to hit any more institutes. I'm hoping to do one day psychiatry, an industry of death, the Scientology Institute on Sunset.
You may have to join certain organizations in order for that to take place, or make certain pledges.
It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make as long as I don't have to pay anything.
Well, then that's never going to happen. Then.
Yeah, there was a comedy show at the Scientology Celebrity Center that I went to one time.
Went to or performed at?
No, just went to, because a friend of mine was performing there, and it was called the Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles comedy show, and purportedly they had free fried chicken, and of course, because I'm from Alabama, I walked in, took 2 sniffs of the air, and was like, it's all lies, there's no chicken here. And it turned out if you gave all of your information to Scientology, they would give you a voucher for Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And I was like, you know what?
Bullshit.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I have $13. I'm just going to go there. And I didn't actually make it. We didn't make it to the show. We got the fuck out of there. We got too freaked out.
And keep in mind, you performed, and as of I, at the California Institute of Abnormal Arts, and didn't get freaked out at that.
Yeah, well, that's normal. I understand.
Normal.
I understand
Shrunken heads
that.
and all that, that's normal shit.
Yeah, Shrunken Heads, the guy who owns the place, when he stamps your hand, he screams.
Yeah, screams directly into your face.
Yeah.
Says, check out this mermaid, and it's, a monkey corpse sewn to the body of a trout.
Yeah.
And all that fun.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Hey man, worked for Robert Ripley.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's right.
why not?
I believe it.
Did you all ever get into Ripley's Believe It or Not?
Oh, fuck yeah.
I did.
Yeah, it was actually part of the day. I want to say Sunday Funnies, but just the daily comic strip would just include like a little, hey, here's a photorealistic drawing of a thing and a fact.
Yeah.
From Ripley's.
Yeah, it would always be like, and there was always like these weird ones on there where it was just like they would have ones that were insane, but the one that always ran was 3-Ball Charlie, the guy that's on the cover of Exile on Main Street that had like the billiard ball, the tennis ball, and the baseball in his mouth.
Oh yeah.
They would always run that one where it's just like, well, it's a guy that
Those balls.
I was
Those
yeah.
balls. Huh?
Yeah, it's just like, well, it's a guy that can fit lots of stuff in his mouth, and he may or may not have teeth. Probably not if he's able to do that. And the guy that has like his lip over his like nose.
Oh yeah.
I think they call it girding, but it's like the guy that looks like one of the Clampets, not one of the off Clampets that's not on the show with the lip pulled over his nose.
Wasn't he like on UHF or some Weird Al film as like he took a bite of a lemon and it just did that miraculous looking face of his?
Probably so.
I don't know.
The one that I always remember that isn't Ripley's Believe It or Not, were y'all really into Guinness Book of World Records?
Yeah. fuck
Like
yeah.
the books, not the show with Dean Cain, but the actual books.
No, the Dean Cain hosted Ripley's.
Hosted Ripley's.
Yeah.
Okay, then Chris Collinsworth hosted Guinness World
One's
Records.
a sport, damn it. One is a competition.
It's a competitive sport. But they had the one that they always ran it for some. That had the photo for some reason. It's a guy that from France that eats metal, and there was always the photo of him eating the bike tire.
Right, they're like, this dude ate 3 bikes.
Yeah, this guy ate a Cessna airplane, and it's just like he ate like 15 shopping carts, and it's just a photo of him with the wheel over his head. He's like, like just looking just mean as all heck,
Did you ever go to Ripley's Believe It or Not? I know they have one in every town in Florida.
I went to the original, man.
In St. Augustine?
St. Augustine,
Hell yeah,
yeah.
me too, baby. Yeah.
I went to the one here.
I've gone to the one here too, actually.
It's, it is a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing you pay money to go into.
I mean, it's like, oh, world's tallest man, and it's like, oh, it's just a wax thing of what he used to look like and possibly be.
He does stand up. That's kind of freaky. Because right when you walk in, I think his name is Robert Walden.
Robert Wadlow.
Or Wadlow. There we go.
Robert Pershing Wadlow.
Wow. Why do you know that?
Jesus Christ! I knew his middle name.
Because,
for fuck's sake.
hey man, if you're 8'11", I'm going to remember your name.
But he's like sitting in a rocking chair, and you see him like walking in, and obviously he's huge. And then they have him like animatronically like stand up. Yeah.
It sounds like Vince McMahon 1998 is in the other room.
Yeah, he's testing the sound.
Fair enough.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm almost curious to see who's... They're introing a show that isn't starting for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why am I not doing
I was going to
that,
say,
by
and
the way?
doing your job, Eric.
I don't know.
Work on.
Jobs mean I get paid.
That's
This
fair.
is fun.
This is the first wrestling related thing that you've done, Eric. Right? Is it the first?
Actually, no. I trained to be a wrestler about a decade ago, and I just didn't have the knees for it.
Old Balsanese Barnes is what they called it.
Didn't
Got knees made out of flimsy wood.
But then you, Dr. Pat, had to were called on assignment, and I had to sub in for you, and I did play-by-play along with Rivers, and I showed up, and then they're like, "Hey, you want to do ring announcing?" I'm like, fuck, why not? And so now here I am.
How long did you train for?
As a wrestler?
Yeah.
Probably about 4 months or so.
Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't like a first day, this is bad. It was more of like, oh, that's right. I have a torn ACL that was surgically repaired.
Oh, fuck.
Maybe I should not do this.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm like, I want to be able to walk in my 30s, and I'm in my 30s and can still walk. So that's why it was just like, I have other avenues to travel, to try.
I would because when you took the Stone Cold Stunner, which is like, I think the thing that when people like, I've never trained for pro wrestling, but I imagine like one of the top 5 things people want to do is like take a stunner.
Right.
It was kind of weird because when you were about to take it, I was like, dude, you're gonna take a stunner, and you were like, yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this because my knee is messed up, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be dangerous.
Well, especially since the lovely Mean Janine is a very petite performer.
Yeah.
That means I have to go even further down,
the way down.
crouch and all that, and you
Yeah.
know, there's not a lot of. I'm taking full impact. My main concern is that I intentionally wear ill-fitting clothing for my character, so I was afraid of like my pants tearing out or tearing my god-awful suit jacket that I'm not gonna fucking replace while just taking a stunner.
I've actually got to be honest. I've been wondering about that.
What?
Your outfits? I'm like, can we get Eric some pants? Like,
No, I intentionally wear like
Okay.
shitty looking clothes.
I've never
How
said
dare
anything.
you?
Okay. I don't know, man. I just thought you were like, okay, this is my only suit.
No.
I don't know.
This is the stuff that can't make it into the men's warehouse.
Yeah.
I have to shop at King's King Size Direct, man. So
Oh, that place on by the 110. Yeah, I've seen the billboards for that. Yeah.
I only order online.
Oh, okay.
So because it's not big and tall, it's big or tall is the problem.
Yeah.
And I'm both.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so the people presume too much of certain areas of my body.
Well, it's also weird with big and tall stores because I've gone into them a couple of times because like
You're a long boy.
I'm a long boy, but I'm not too long, right? I'm not exceedingly. So it's like, it depends on what day they decided to bring in the size 34 inseam pants. Like, it's like
Yeah.
what the shipment is. And I remember one time I couldn't find the pants that were long enough. So I went to the big and tall store. I feel bad for big and tall people that shop big and tall stores because the stuff that they have at the big and tall store, not flattering whatsoever. It's a lot of like fleece vests,
Yeah.
like zip up vests that kind of look like North Face, and like khakis.
And it's where Hogan gets his Jinkos. Like,
Yeah, it's just terrible. And I actually have a bit in my act in which I can't like find cool graphic T-shirts there because all it is some version of look how big this guy is that's wearing this.
big
dogs.
Big dog, or like Gorilla Jim, or like, or just and I'm not going to do my bit. You can go see me perform for that. But no, that's the thing is that it's all like, oh, they're big guys. Let's just do everything stereotypically big for them.
Right.
So it's all biker bullshit.
or Tommy Bahama.
Or Tommy Bahama. Yeah, it's either
Don't forget.
Hawaiian fun guy or shit kicker. Those are the only two. Those are the only two looks.
Hawaiian fun guy.
No, I mean it's like a very tiki bar, like
Right,
very
right.
sort of
Well, that's what
corporate tiki bar look.
Corporate.
I should specify white Hawaiian fun guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a very Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, but it would be like but like a bootleg one, like My Thai Village or something.
Well, it's big and tall. It's more cheeseburger in paradise. Let's be honest with
there
ourselves.
But we're here at the Moose Lodge, and we're about to. When's the show starting? Probably a couple hours.
Yeah,
I'd
we're gonna
say.
see if we can't get some wrestlers down here in the bar.
Oh yeah, and Eric is going to be announcing it all. and it's going to be good fun.
Hell yeah.
I'll have note cards this time, and I hopefully will know all the wrestlers' names that are performing.
Yeah.
And in the order of which they will, which is always a gamble at pro wrestling.
Well, just remember, everybody's from parts unknown generally.
Right.
Yeah.
Eric, tell the people where they can find you on the internet, sir.
You can find me on Twitter at Erik W. Barnes, and please listen to the Raging Joy podcast.
Oh, yeah.
With future upcoming guest Rivers Langley.
Uh-huh.
And a potential friend of the show, Dr. Pat.
Oh, I got anxiety, man.
Yeah, Pat's probably more fucked up than me. He just don't talk about it.
Basically, the premise of the podcast is I have my guests tell them what pisses them off, what makes them mad, and tell me about the one thing in their life that brings them the most joy or brings them back down in the world. So follow that at Raging Joy Pod, but everything at Erik W. Barnes on Twitter.
And check him out at twitch.tv/WrestlingProWrestling.
Damn straight.
Check
Get
out
to
Summer Squash, baby.
Check out Summer Squash and take a look at my flop sweated hair.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, man. I said we were going to find a wrestler to talk to, and boy, we found one. We're here with the Wrestling Pro Wrestling Wrestle Turkey champion,
Yes,
goddammit.
the one and only.
Darwin Finch.
What's crack-a-lackin', fellas?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm doing just super. I'm all jazzed up for tonight. How are you guys feeling about it?
We're podcasting in a bar, so we're operating at a very high level right now.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear. You got the hops all fuming, getting into your brain cells, making everything work. That's ecstatic.
Darwin, I wouldn't. I always take you as a person that would be like strictly anti-bar. I'd be, because you have a very strong moral compass.
Because you raised the bar.
But I thought that you wouldn't be a big fan of being in a bar.
I never used to. I think the pro wrestling world has kind of molded me a little bit. And actually, a little side story for you. I actually lost a match in which I had to take shots afterwards with a wrestler for losing. And I guess maybe that kind of started a downward spiral, according to some. But, now I do see the goodness that is the adult beverage. I enjoy it.
Well, it's funny because you are the punk rock Poindexter, and I have to say the biggest Poindexter that I knew in high school, shout out to my man Vance in Blacksburg, Virginia, he was a fucking nerd, and now he brews beer at his house. He's like he's gone from a math science nerd to a beer nerd.
Well, there's a lot of science involved in brewing beer, so I can see the appeal.
Yeah, it's at worst a lateral move, at best going up, baby. Yeah.
So Darwin, you come to the ring. You're the punk rock Poindexter. You come to the ring, lab coat, lab goggles. What is your science background? I mean, what background do you have in the sciences? I mean, where is this kind of an affectation, or is this something that actually you have a background in the sciences?
Right. So I was actually raised at a research facility in the Galapagos Islands.
Ooh.
My parents were both science. What's so funny about that?
No, I just put two and two together.
Yeah, man.
Is that the first time you put
they
that
thought
together?
they were real clever with that name. That maybe I'm a little a little sour, but I've gotten teased quite a bit about it, from the other scientists' children that also lived at that facility. Yeah.
And there. We got our friend Pierce just walked in. What's up, buddy?
What's crack-a-lackin', little man? He's got a cupcake.
Oh, he's got a cupcake. What's happening, buddy?
I'm just eating a cupcake.
What'd you say?
I still haven't put in or anything.
You want some pudding? Is that what you said? No, do they have
The
pudding
pizza
up
and
there?
the cupcakes weren't enough. The kid needs pudding too.
Now I got pudding. Oh my god.
The kid, like he's got wrestling, a wrestling ring, pizza, cupcakes, perhaps soda. I mean, this is a dream.
Confirmed soda. This is my dream right now.
Yeah, this is a dream for a 4-year-old, and that's Pierce who's walking around here.
Oh look, and he's getting into the pool stuff too. He's got pool sticks over there.
Well, I don't think he's.
As long as he doesn't get behind the bar, I think everything will be copacetic.
It's like, he just turns into Tom Cruise in Cocktail. He's like making drinks and shit.
Just making cupcake themed drinks and shooters in the cupcake.
Well, they got that. They got that disgusting cupcake vodka.
So, Darwin, how long have you been wrestling for?
I believe 5 years in November.
Wow.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
man. Wow, congrats, dude.
Thank you. Actually, I'm sorry. My math is off. It's 4 years in November. My apologies.
Oh, okay.
For steering the audience astray.
Oh no, it's fine.
Well, I mean, so you've been at pro wrestling for I think since the beginning, basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but I don't know much about your career outside of pro wrestling. I mean, what match over your 4 years really sticks out as your favorite match thus far?
Honestly, it would probably be my very last match here against Eric Watts. That was
the title match.
Yeah,
the
that was
championship
the
match.
most, not just because it was a title match, but also just because I felt like I put in the most effort into that. Or not that I don't put in a lot of effort, but that there was just a lot. Mr. Watts made me work quite a bit.
Right.
just to stay neck and neck with him there. So
But you feel like you hit like another level almost.
Yeah,
Like even
exactly.
though, you know, because they have the you know, you know, do comedy long enough, you have that sort of thing too where you're doing a set and you're like, oh, this is going really fucking good. You
Yeah.
know, and so even though you're doing the same, you know, you're doing the same jokes, you're putting in the same amount of work or whatever, just for whatever reason everything is clicking and you're like, oh, this is a different level.
yes,
And you kind of get a
you can
taste
feel
of that.
electricity, and
Yeah.
it's like you're riding that wave, and that's exactly what I felt last month right here.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
I mean, Watts is a hell of a wrestler, and I mean, I was just blown away by how great of a job they. Oh, Pierce is. Oh my God!
oh, he brought us cupcakes.
Oh my God!
No.
You are the real MVP. Look at that. 3 cupcakes.
Oh my God! For
Thank
3
you,
dudes,
Pierce.
yeah. Thank you, Pierce.
He went for the emergency exit. He's gonna set off the sprinklers.
Oh man!
Boy.
But yeah, I mean, Eric is a hell of a wrestler, and I mean, you two had a fantastic match. One of the things that I always wonder with people who are into wrestling or are wrestlers, what's the first match that you ever remembered watching? Like consciously, what's the first wrestling match that you remember watching? And if it wasn't the one that you watched that made you want to be a wrestler, what wrestling match made you want to become a pro wrestler? Because I mean, you come from a science family, right?
That's correct.
You're surrounded by science. Like, that's
So
got to
obviously
be
it was
something impactful to get you off the course of being.
They're dragging him out
they're
of the
dragging
bar.
Pierce out of the bar
Pierce has been bounced from this bar.
by his dad.
He's had one,
He's under 21.
But-
Get it?
one too many chocolates.
But yeah, so like, what was the first match that you remember watching? And if it wasn't the match that made you want to be a pro wrestler, what was the match that made you want to be a pro wrestler? Made you a die-hard wrestling fan?
Well, I know it wasn't the first match that I ever saw because I vaguely remember the very first match I ever saw. I just remember finding wrestling on television and seeing randomly like acts from Demolition taking on someone. I think it might have been Tito Santana. But the first like memorable match that I remember seeing was Hogan versus Warrior. WrestleMania 6, but that probably wasn't the match that made me want to be a pro wrestler. I think what made me want to be a pro wrestler might have been 1-2-3 Kid and Razor Ramon.
Oh man!
Yeah, when he snuck the victory on him there after getting thrown around. It just
You saw that on TV on Raw Live.
yeah.
I did too.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah. I remember that match because when I watched it, I kind of was a little bit. This is the first time I actually realized, like, oh, these are different people going to different. Like, they kind of took apart the thing of these like discrete universes. Because I remembered 1-2-3 Kid from Global when he was the Lightning Kid. Yeah, because whenever I'd come home from school early on a half day, it'd be Global, and he would be wrestling like Jerry Lynn or somebody like that. Rasta. The Rasta the Voodoo Man or something, and they always showed that bungee cord match. They always had that same bungee cord match on all the time. But yeah, no. When I saw him on there, I was like, oh shoot, I know who this guy is. And when they had that match and Razor Ramon lost, I was like, oh my God, this is so unpredictable. This isn't like a thing of like it was complete, like the universe shifted where it was like, no, the guy that doesn't get the theme music, the guy that just gets his name called and has the thing where it's like his name is said by Howard Finkel and just like, yeah, and that's his moment. Like he can actually win.
Right, and usually those guys would hit like a drop kick in the match, if that, and mainly just get destroyed. But I would say that match in particular, and then his work in particular, guys like him, Rey Mysterio, Spike Dudley, all those like underdog type characters really.
Kidman?
I connected with Kidman.
Not
A
only
bit
was
of Kidman.
small, he was addicted to heroin.
That part I didn't so much connect with.
Well, that seemed to be the whole gig, because I've been rewatching like that era of WCW, because that's about when I got into it. Was like in the '97, beginning of 1998, and the gimmick of the Flock seems to be that like Raven gave them all heroin and now they're better wrestlers. That is like the implied thing behind.
He
all
was
of
always
it.
scratching himself.
Yeah, well, that's Kidman's straight up supposed to be a wrestling junkie. Like he is straight up supposed to be. If River Phoenix survived the night at the Viper Room and then wrestled.
That's rough, bro.
Okay, so it made sense where it was just like there were outcasts in certain ways. Like Reese was really tall, right? Reese was really, and he was probably shamed after being the Yeti.
Yeah.
Scotty Riggs had one eye. What was Sick Boy supposed to be? Was he just really into social distortion? And then why isn't he like a rockabilly guy? Like I don't get it. But I mean, so you were a big fan of the like kind of underdog type, and that's kind of surprising because you would think the connection would be somebody who is, because you're probably about 6 foot tall, 6'1", and
right.
I mean, what was the thing that really got you into those particular wrestlers? What was the thing? Was it their moves were more impressive, or was it a thing of like just their characters, or?
I think it was more the characters and connecting with them in a way. I used to be smaller than I am now, obviously, and a lot scrawnier, if you can believe that. I looked like, with my shirt off, I looked like the scene in E.T. when he's dying.
So you mean you're gray underneath that shirt?
A little bit, just a little gray. Unless the sun came out, and then I'd kind of turn to like a silverish kind of off-white, maybe.
You look like a Golden Globe Award or an Oscar.
But, it was mainly from a background of getting put down and bullied. And, those were always the guys that they themselves were getting pushed around and bullied by these, big brutes. And they rose above and somehow were able to get some wins. So that's what really connected me to them.
So the match that you're having tonight, you're wrestling Erik again.
Yes.
And how do you prepare for a match like that? I mean, really, when you have somebody like Erik, I mean, how do you? Because he's a big guy, and I mean, he's definitely somebody that, is it tough to work with somebody who is 6'7", 250-ish pounds? I mean, is it somebody that, wrestling him? Is there an intimidation factor involved in it?
I mean, yeah, there is. I'm not gonna lie. I know that it's certain things that he can do, as far as being able to throw me across the ring, and the strength behind each of his shots is going to be more powerful than that of most other smaller gentlemen or ladies. I don't discriminate.
Although I saw you have a match with Ruby Reyes, and Ruby Reyes definitely...
she is one of the hardest hitting people on the planet.
Oh my gosh, I'd see her wrestling anyone, and it's just like she would get a forearm in, or get like like definitely the forearms. You get a forearm in or a clothesline. I'd see people just like, even guys that were like bigger than her, just like launching them. Like she's powerful. She's definitely yeah.
Oh, I know that from we actually trained at the same facility together, and she used to practice her suplexes and stuff on me, and I ended up not being able to get out of bed definitely a few times. But to prepare against Erik Watts, I really gotta put my calculations in and see exactly what maneuvers I'm gonna be able to pull off. I'm certainly not gonna be able to do a lot of my more lifting maneuvers. I'm gonna have to. No, I know. Surprisingly enough, I'm not. I know I look jacked from over here, but
so no Steiner screwdrivers.
No, not tonight. Not tonight. Maybe an orange crush bomb later on.
Hell yeah.
But I know that I'm gonna have to be quick. I'm gonna have to be more calculating. I'm gonna either have to run around him or tie him up, or just jack him in the face, because that seems to have worked a few times.
Absolutely. Well,
how's the arm doing, by the way? You guys see that you still have the scar there.
Oh,
Does any-
it's holding up.
What happened to your arm?
This is a story.
That's what I want.
Okay. So I was wrestling at a place called UEW, and they are known for hardcore and deathmatch wrestling. I was not supposed to be in a hardcore or deathmatch that night. I was wrestling Human Tornado in the match that he actually announced his retirement afterwards.
After maiming you?
After maiming me, he was like, "I'm done. You know, I've killed this kid."
I think I've said everything I need to say.
So we basically ended up between our match, which was at the beginning of the night. We got a little heated and started brawling through the crowd, ended up brawling to the backstage area, ended up fighting for pretty much the whole night. Forever. We kept coming back.
Literally.
Exactly. That was the longest I've ever fought another human being. We came back through the crowd around intermission, fought back out into the streets. I don't know how long we were out there until we finally came back to the ring later in the night, and apparently when we came back was right after a death match had ended, and there was a piece of light tube, like the plug end of the light tube on the apron.
Yeah.
And I got hit and didn't see it there. I turned around and fell on it, and it went right into my arm.
Oh my God.
It severed the muscle. My muscle was hanging out of my body, which is not something I ever wanted to see. So, that's that story.
Wow, man. Oh, well, I'm glad you're mostly recovered.
You got a good scar, and it was on Human
Makes me look tough.
Human Tornado's last match. Which,
wow.
You know,
Hell yeah, man. Well, good luck tonight with Finch Watts 2. If you're listening out there, that will have already happened, so you can check it out at twitch.tv.
yeah, and if what's your social media contacts if anybody wants to get a hold of you?
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook, Darwin Finch. I'll be the nerdy-looking guy with the goggles on. I don't think there's a lot more with the same name. Maybe. Twitter, I'm at Darwin Finch 3, and on Instagram, I'm at Punk Rock Poindexter.
A good follow on Instagram, by the way. I must say, I watch your shit every day. If you want to see the life of a real working ass, training ass wrestler,
Not just he's training, but he's also helping train people.
Yeah.
So you get to see him on both sides.
The
of
process is really
of the podium.
really incredible to watch. So definitely follow Darwin, and thank you for joining us, Darwin.
Thanks, Darwin.
Thank you, fellas. I enjoyed it.
Good luck tonight. Sitting down here with Jason Wayne Christian and Adam Murray. Welcome back to the show, Adam, and welcome to the show for the first time, Jason.
Wait, is this Goods from the Woods?
Yeah, man. We didn't do an episode this week, so
This is actually Killing the Town with Storm and Cyrus. I am Don Callis, everybody. I don't like my fans.
I was under the impression that this is all how you just had regular conversations.
I totally forgot about Goods from the Woods for like a solid 3 seconds. I was like, why aren't they recording?
Ringing endorsement of the podcast.
So my wife does a lot of recording for her work.
We get it. You're married.
And sometimes I get the microphone, and whenever I want to have a conversation, this annoys the heck out of her sometimes. I do the thing where I start talking into it and then put the microphone up to her like it's the Action News or something like that, where it's just like, so what would you like for dinner?
How do you feel about that?
And it's funny for about 15 seconds.
the reason we're here today, Pat and I are calling the pro wrestling match that's going on this evening, but we were just here filming a little short film involving the Sport of Kings with our good friend, filmmaker and funny man, Adam Murray. How was the shoot for you today?
Good. I mean, probably the largest, It's a indie wrestling venue with about a dozen or so people.
Don't sell yourself short. There was at least 2 or 3 dozen.
Yeah, there was probably 2 dozen here.
200!
2 dozen people. No, it was good. The last short I made was it's a real bummer, and it all took place in one apartment. And I was like, well, I want to do something that's not shot in an apartment in Los Angeles, like every short film that comes out of Los Angeles on a small budget. And then I was like, well, I had this idea for a short, which this short is inspired by a Mountain Goat song. The band. Yeah.
So that's not sad at all.
No, not sad at all. It's it's from their Beat the Champ album, like for 2015. So that was the inspiration behind it. And it's so weird because it was so much buildup and so much planning for a one-day shoot that was less than 12 hours because we started shooting at 11 o'clock and we wrapped at 4. So realistically, it was about 5 hours of work altogether, which it feels really weird right now, having planned for about a month and a half to 2 months, and then it's just done. But no, it was good. It was the concept of the short was I wanted to do it all in one take, one in quotes because there's hidden edits and everything that's going to be in it. And we pulled it off. I was watching the footage and everything. We ended up getting it, which is surprising to me, just because anything could go wrong. A lot of things could go wrong.
And we're here with Jason, and Jason is the host and the brain trust behind Jakked Wrestling Comedy. And Rivers and I have been part of Jakked Wrestling Comedy, and tell everybody what Jakked Wrestling Comedy is all about.
Yeah. Yep. Jakked Wrestling Comedy. For people who are familiar with wrestling, pro wrestling, I like to refer to it as the inverse. This is a wrestling show that is comedy themed. I produce a comedy show that is professional wrestling themed. So we may have a match or two, but we have no ring. It's a black box theater on a hard wooden floor. I try and convince wrestlers not to do crazy stuff, but people take hip tosses and dive off our balcony. I don't understand why, but they're amazing. We also have ridiculous stuff where we've had people do characters from the 80s doing old school promos. We've had stand-ups telling jokes about pro wrestling. We've had comedians get limited coaching and then try and wrestle a match that went very interesting.
Has the limited coaching paid off, or has it gotten...
I'd say they got their money's worth.
I gotta say,
it was free.
I saw a thing at JWC that I think will go down eventually as like a rocking chair. You know, I'm 80 years old and on a fucking front porch in Alabama, and I can tell my grandkids or whoever wants to listen that I saw some shit, which was Tyler Bateman and Ty Matthews did
the 5-minute wrist lock.
The funniest thing I've ever seen in wrestling, or maybe comedy. And I've seen a lot of comedy, and I hate comedy. And I loved this so much. It was a 5-minute wrist lock where they just explained how wrestling works. And it was fucking amazing. And I think Tyler Bateman is going to be a fucking star somewhere. And so I'll be able to tell people, like, yeah, I saw that motherfucker do the funniest thing I've ever seen. And I'm around nothing but comedians.
We've been very, very fortunate to be, a donation-based theater. We are a no-budget show, and somehow we've still gotten the likes of Bateman, Ty Matthews.
Bad Luck Fale is involved.
Bad Luck Fale has recorded numerous segments from New Zealand because
it's amazing.
We're good friends now, which is still very surreal to me.
Yeah.
I saw something of him. Someone made a funny thing of him on Reddit, and I was like, oh shit, I can actually tweet this to him now. Or not tweet, I Facebook messaged it to him. And I was like, yo, bud, check this out.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I sent it, I was like, I'm friends with a famous person.
That's so awesome.
Because, like, acting, I got to the point where I had to learn, these are your contemporaries. And, like, even though I've, been acting for 4 or 5 years, I've done, like, a couple episodes of TV. I'm nobody.
Yeah.
But you have to approach whenever you work with a celebrity as a professional courtesy.
Right.
And, you don't mark out or anything. I'm struggling to get there with wrestling. With wrestlers,
yeah.
It's still like, you're kind of a god.
Right, yeah.
So, but yeah, we've had representatives from Freak Show Wrestling, Wrestling Pro Wrestling, PWG, Hood Slam, WWE, TNA Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, places all over. come do this very, very stupid show. Second Saturday of the month at the Pack Theater in Hollywood, 11 p.m. If you get a chance, come check it out.
Yeah,
You'll
for
leave
sure.
confused and mildly entertained.
I remember when I did it, I wore a suit with no shirt, and it was like the old Jason Knight from ECW, and I was Prada, Gucci, Louis Vuitton was my name. But Jason, you're training right now, yeah?
Indeed, I am. I'm training at Millennium Pro Wrestling, and then sneaking in side gigs whenever I can. Training with Peter Avalon and Oxnard, and just started training with Kendrick at Santino Brothers at this class. And I am a mid-30s overweight dude with not a whole lot of athletic inclination. So
Why the hell not?
yeah, it's it's interesting. I'm definitely getting my ass kicked and pushing the limits of it, but I actually get to do a match tonight and then have my serious, I guess, debut will be on the 24th at Millennium Pro Wrestling, which if you haven't checked out.
Wait, wrestling on your knees is not serious, Jason?
As a wizard?
As a wizard?
I just feel like this is a match where I'm going to be a lot more protected. If I look like an idiot here, people can laugh at me, and that's good for the show.
Hey, man. Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's what I'm used to at my show, so.
Yeah.
Jason, plugs, baby.
Salts Pepper on Twitter. We are JWC, that I stole from NXT on Twitter. I don't really update him. It's following him is pointless. Come see the show I talked about. Enjoy local wrestling. Buy people's merchandise. Give your money to the people who make you happy. Try and find true love. Write down your priorities. Write down your goals, and then
Fight upon the season, Ocean.
chase it. No. You don't got to get into violence or anything. Just look at what makes you happy. And go for it. And you got to believe in yourself. Listen to others, and then don't be afraid to jump. And also, if you're listening to this and I don't like you as a person, don't do that shit. Fuck you.
And also check him out at Tournament of Nerds. You may know him as, if you've been there before, you might know him as Wario. So Adam,
Yes.
filmmaking.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
Filmmaking.
Filming on the prize? What do you want?
Is there more to shoot, or was this?
This was it. Surprisingly, we're also doing. We're recording this at a bar at the Burbank Moose Lodge. Okay, good. The bartender just came.
We've set what you call in your industry the mise en scène.
Yes, the bartender
fuck
just
does
came
that
over
mean?
and was.
I don't speak Italian.
Hi, Adam. Aaron, nice to meet you.
Hold on.
you.
There you go.
Welcome to the Moose Lodge.
There we
That's
go.
Aaron.
Yeah, this isn't bullshit. This is an actual moose lodge.
Aaron is a moose.
Aaron is a talking moose. No, so it was, today was the day. Like the last one I did, we shot over the course of 3 weekends, which is how a lot of stuff gets shot. If you work a 9 to 5 in LA, we shot over 3 weekends in one apartment, and then 2 extra days like before and after. It's kind of relieving that I'm just shot this and now it's done and I can relax for a while until I start feeling like I'm not doing enough.
All right. So, just for context, the last time Adam Murray was on the Goods from the Woods was shit. No, brother, it was 2014. I was still working at the grilled cheese sandwich store, and I told the story about my grandmother's funeral. I think was in an episode about shitty jobs. Somehow
I talked about G's Ultra Lounge.
yeah, it was you and Laura Crawford when you were still doing the Nerd Fight show. So it's been a long goddamn time.
That's when I was tangentially attached to comedy that I fell into. Like, I met you through a stand-up show. I think I met you at a show at a now closed bar called Nerdist Theater. Rest in peace. No, we met on a show that Adam Cousins got me on back in like 2012, because you and I moved out to LA roughly the same exact time.
That's right.
And I think because I knew Adam Cousins through Twitter. And then, this is the weird story. I knew him through Twitter, and then he invited me to a stand-up show, and then he booked me on a stand-up show in Monrovia, and I was like, I don't do stand-up. And he was like, don't worry. I was like, oh, cool. Now I just have like a 5-minute obligation to go to Monrovia. and get paid. Oh yeah, this is.
What, was this the first time you'd done stand up, or had you attempted and they just booked you for 5 minutes?
I did a little bit of stand up. I used to live in Philadelphia, and right before I left, or if I moved out of Philly, I did like a few handfuls of sets with a friend who was like trying to get a comedy, like a younger comedy scene in Philly going.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then when I got to LA, I was not focused on it at all. And then Adam Cousins wrangled me in. I did like 2 shows, and then kind of focused on sketch comedy because I was going through UCB at the time. Because I had like no real job and there was nothing going on, so I was like, I might as well just spend money on something that will never pay off. And give UCB $400, which I think is now more expensive to take a class there. And then it was a show at a theater that closed like immediately after like that show we were on.
Comedy's about timing, Adam.
What was it? The Bang on Fairfax?
Yes.
Oh God.
Yeah. That's when you still wore glasses.
Yeah. So.
And you still had a mustache.
Yeah. It was just the glasses. I wore a suit on stage at that time, and I had just a mustache and glasses. The thing I remember about that, and I may have said this on the show before, but past guest of the show, Brent Schmidt, on the night that they closed, it was the last show they ever did. It was Bree Geiger and Max Goldberg had a show there, and it was their last time ever. And Brent Schmidt, for his set, played Dust in the Wind by Kansas on his iPhone and smoked a joint on stage.
I mean, that sounds pretty accurate to the first stand-up show I did in Monrovia, which was hosted by Jay Weingarten. And then I went up on stage and I made I made a handful of people laugh. I said Monrovia feels like a city that either dancing is illegal or that there was like a bunch of pirate murders that no one talks about, and it's just like the fog. Like that's what it reminded me of.
I mean, there's always like those cities like that always have some sort of weird thing where it's like it's either something is banned, like dancing, or something that's like really good. Rolling dice is banned, like something like that. But like, or there's like some sort of but like on the other side, it's always like some sort of weird like super grimy sort of thing that they're known for. Like if you get one of those trucker magazines, you know, you go to Monrovia and that's where the action is.
It's literally the only thing that
where the special kind of biker like crank comes from, or something. You know,
it's the only thing that season 2 of True Detective did well, which is just conveying the horror and desolation of Southern California. Like, because everything is so fucking spaced out, and you're like, oh, there could be just child orgies everywhere in these weird mansions. You drive through parts of like like out when you get out towards the desert, and there's like a mansion on a mountain, and you're like, whoever lives there is evil.
Yeah. Well, it's like the thing where like in the 1980s there was all those satanic panics that happened in Southern California, and those were all like just social panics and stuff like that. But sometimes when you drive through like certain parts of Southern California, like some of those like cities that are like Downey or somewhere around that, where you look around and it's like everything was built like in 1975, and you're just like, you know what, this could be plausible that you have the Hellgate is here, and there's actually
you can really judge the gentrification and the walking score level of a town in Los Angeles or section of Los Angeles if you drive through it and you see a billboard for a show that premiered on Netflix like a year ago and it's still up. You're like, huh, weird. Season 1 of Glow. Oh, I'm in a bad neighborhood. Oh, okay, that's what this is.
There's the ones where it's like the American Apparel, ones that still had American Apparel billboards.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is now it's like now American Apparel's back, so you're just like, is this a new one or is this an old one? I don't know. Yeah.
Shitty billboard American Apparel put up. That's like if you go through anywhere in San Pedro, you're just going to see American Apparel billboards and like stuff for Troll Hunter Season 1 from Netflix, because nothing gets updated out in San Pedro.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And that's the spirit that created the Minutemen.
Yeah.
So.
I got thrust in here.
Well, yeah, man. Go ahead and plug your stuff, man. Thanks for joining us. Tell people where you can be found online and about all your sketches and all the shit you got going on.
You can find my stuff I'm on Twitter, but I'm trying not to be on that website anymore.
Why? Is it because it's horrifying always?
Because it's just the worst of humanity, and it's like seeped into my bones where like I'm now terrible. So I'm trying to stay off of there. I'm on Instagram at ATOM_Murray, MURRAY. I used to have a YouTube channel. I don't anymore. I'm on Vimeo now. I'm trying to go legit, I guess.
Vimeo's much better.
Is that where all the all the sketches live? The one where I'm fucking a horse as a constellation?
Oh, that's right. Yes. No, that's still on YouTube, I think.
Okay, good.
That's still on YouTube. YouTube of the same name, ATOM_MURRAY.
Actually, let's talk about that because I forgot that's happened. So I was like, I feel like there's like one major thing that's happened since we had you on the pod last. We were in a sketch where you were essentially playing a Carl Sagan, Neil deGrasse Tyson like person, and I was the producer of a In Search of or a Cosmos type show, and Nebulas, yeah, and the joke was that basically you'd found out that I was having an affair with your girlfriend or your wife, and so you had in real life outside of kayfabe, you had an artist render a photograph of me, or not a photograph, but a drawing,
illustration of you,
an illustration of me having sex with a horse, missionary style, I might add.
Style.
My favorite moment, my favorite little, the horse is on its back. Yeah,
the horse is on its back.
It's really fucking horrifying.
The horses.
I'll put this up on our Twitter. We're at the good spot. I'll throw it up there.
Jenny Fine drew that.
Oh shit! Did she?
Yeah,
oh,
Jenny
okay,
Fine drew that. I reached out to her. I paid her $25 to draw you fucking a horse missionary style. Which came out of a joke. I used to work in animation for a long time, for about 3 years. I was in animation, and I worked on a show for Adult Swim called Mr. Pickles, which if you've ever seen that show, it's super fucked up.
It's about a satanic.
It's about a satanic dog that just murders people. And we in the writers' room when I was doing Punch Up and we'd have dailies, like a joke came up. It's like, how is there any other way that horses fuck? And then someone was like, "What about missionary style?" Then one of the artists like drew a quick like drawing of two horses fucking missionary style. And it was so graphic. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's a really good joke. So that's where I got that idea. I was like, what is something that you could like pretend to be a constellation? Yeah. And that's a reveal of something horrendous.
Right. Like it's like how you'd be at a planetarium looking up at the stars and they fill in like the Pleiades like, or the Big Dipper.
The Big Dipper, there's Ursa Major, and then there is your dad sticking a gun in his mouth. Yeah. Like just something horrifying. Like, and so I went with, there's a picture, I'll send it to you so you can post it.
No, I've got it. You texted it to me, and I've got it in my personal archives. It's one of my treasures. It's the look on my face is like maybe my favorite part because it's almost a profile where you see my ass, not my junk, but you do see my ass, and then my head is kind of cocked sideways, and I have this look of ecstasy.
You're biting your lip.
It's great.
Yeah. So that's still online somewhere. You can find that on
Nebulas.
YouTube. Yeah, look up Adam Murray Nebulas. You'll find that. But I'm on.
Or if you can't find it there, you can probably find something approximating it on www.deviantart.com.
That's the level I want to get at with the podcast, where we have like really weird stuff on DeviantArt or Tumblr,
where you're just like a fox that has a huge boner for some reason. Yeah. It's like, here's a drawing of Rivers as a badger, but also he's got like tits.
Oh man!
And like Mr. Goodnight's the Raisin Bran's son. It's just like, I don't know. And I'm not involved.
Oh, you're
because
involved. You're
I have
the rooster that's Roger Miller. That's voiced by Roger Miller.
Because I have legal insurance. I will go after you.
Oodle lolly, golly, what a day. That's what Dr. Pat says. Find
on all the social ATOM_Murray. Same thing on Vimeo.com/ATOMMURAY. I'm putting more. That's where I'm posting stuff now, just because I moved out here to do filmmaking. I fell into sketch comedy for a long time, which I don't regret. I met a lot of great people through sketch comedy. And then I made a not funny short about 3 years ago. And then I was just like, from there, starting to try and focus on more serious stuff. But I'll probably fall back into a comedic short.
What's not serious about me fucking a horse, Adam? It's the most serious
So
thing.
brought
in the
this
world.
country together right before we were torn apart.
It's called astronomy, and there's nothing funny about astronomy because we will be sucked into a black hole eventually. Okay, and that black hole might come from that particular constellation.
There was two things that were funny in this world before 2016. It was like Rivers fucking a horse, and like David S. Pumpkins. So that was the thing. That was the last. I think that was legitimately the last funny in quotes thing that like everyone liked.
Yeah, because the election was like
It was a month later, a week later, and it's just like, well, that's all gone now.
Yeah.
Remember that short time, that week we had where we all loved David S. Pumpkins, and now it's
what a
done.
week.
Oh, what a build up to just the apocalypse. It's a great time.
Well, thank you, Adam, and yeah, check out all of Adam's stuff online. We are very pleased at this moment to be joined by a new favorite in the wrestling, pro wrestling universe.
A new superstar, if you will, because I
new-
think this guy's an absolute superstar.
A new superstar, if you will. It's the man from Saskatoon, the Sassy Assassin. How are you, Sassy?
Salutations. I'm doing well. How about yourselves?
Your accent, and I assume it's how all people in Saskatchewan speak, is absolutely infectious.
Well, it's quite a jubilous town that I come from. We're always out painting the nights.
See, I didn't know people from Saskatchewan in particular. Is it just unique to Saskatoon, your accent, or is that like a typical Saskatchewanese?
Because we actually have a fair amount of Canadian listeners.
Yeah, is this just a Saskatchewan accent, or is this a Saskatoon accent, or is there part of Saskatoon?
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Okay, cool. So, when did you? Are you basing yourself out of Southern California now? Or are you hitting the roads, traveling around North America wrestling? I mean, what brings you here to wrestling, pro wrestling? What brings you here to Southern California to wrestle?
Well, you see, I go where I'm summoned. I am an S-class assassin with superior skills, always called upon to strike at the speed of sound. So, I have found many targets here at Wrestling Pro Wrestling, including Kid Isaac. And last month, I was supposed to do away with Kikutaru, but there was an imposition by City Superman.
And you guys had a bit of an incident in Victorville recently, didn't you?
He fancies himself such a superhero.
So you're an assassin. Do you come from an assassin family, or did you go to assassin school? Was it something that like you were called to do and your parents?
No, what happened in Victorville?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just wanted to know about it's the Sassy Assassin.
No, there was an incident. What happened in
what happened in
Victorville?
Victorville? Yeah.
Well, you see, I was getting ready to blow up a school.
That's not a laughing matter.
I'm sorry.
Yes, you seem to be sick in the head. As sick as I am, you would be a great addition to the assassination.
You were proceeding with the plot of Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yes, indeed. And of course, City Superman swoops in. I wouldn't say fly, but he swoops in and saves the day as usual.
It's annoying. It's annoying when that happens.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, some do-gooder trying to undo your machinations and plots and schemes and such.
All the schemes.
So, are you from an assassin family, or your parents assassins, or did you come upon being a sassy assassin, by chance or by calling? Like, how did you become an assassin?
These are always innate skills I've had. I escaped from my mother's womb without her even knowing.
Wow, that's impressive. That's absolutely impressive.
Yes, and since then I've been sneaking in the shadows, striking anyone I can like a sneaky snake.
So what? So you
a solid snake.
You
if
use
you will.
stealth. You use quickness. You use surprise. What attacks? Not to ruin or reveal your tricks. But what sort of attacks do you like the best to carry out as an assassin? What's your kind of thing what's your jam as an assassin? What attacks are your jam?
Well, it's always a sneak attack. It's always a swift strike to the head, to the chest, to the arms, till anyone falls to my submission.
So, did you take assassin's training? Is there like an assassin's dojo, or is this something that was like completely self-taught?
Yes, I've been training with an elite superstar you may have seen on the screen. I'm not going to reveal his name. Unless he likes to be revealed. I'm not quite sure.
Is he in the wrestling universe, or is he like beyond the wrestling universe?
He's in the wrestling universe.
Oh, okay. So tonight you're here for Summer Squash, or Summer Squash, if you will. What are your
satire?
No, I'm trying to. I'm not. It's not satire at all. But do you know what match you might have? Do you know what plans you might have? Are you just coming out and you have your own plans?
Well, tonight was going to be the night that I take care of shitty Superman for good. But I've decided on other plans. So, stay tuned, because you'll see in the squared circle exactly what I have up my sleeve.
You're a credit to the Saskatchewani people.
Yeah. Is this your first time in Burbank? Have you done anything while you're out here in beautiful downtown Burbank, or is this...
Why, yes. I do love checking out Universal Studios.
Oh, very nice, very nice. What's your favorite, do you have a favorite ride or a favorite part of Universal Studios that you discovered?
The Simpsons.
I had a lot of great time on that one too, Rivers. I know that you're laughing because you can think back to all those memories on that.
That's a great show. It's been on for
Simpsons
300
ride
years.
there. But Sassy Assassin, good luck carrying out your mission against Shady Superman. I'm gonna try and remain impartial in the whole thing, and I'm just gonna let it carry out as it were.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Do you have any plugs, Sassy Assassin?
Why, yes. It seems this week we are hosting some boys from Hood Slam. I sure hope they're on their best behavior. Because next week, in So Caliente, in Oakland, California, I may have to make the trip and repay the favor.
Ooh.
Oh, so yeah, you should...
check out Wrestling Pro Wrestling on Twitch. Also
and check out Hood Slam on Twitch to see if the Sassy Assassin has come to assassinate anybody in Oakland. So, Sassy Assassin, thank you very much. And,
Gracias.
That's too fucking funny.
all right, everybody. So it's me, Pat.
We're still here hanging on the bar.
And we've been joined here at the Moose Lodge by another one of our friends here from Wrestling Pro Wrestling. It's
Erik Kimerer. How's it going?
Good to see you, man.
Going all right, man. It's going all right. I've seen that the Sassy Assassin is stealthing around. Have you seen him around?
Yeah, he's lurking in the bathroom somewhere putting on his makeup, I think.
It could be wrong. Is it REM inspired makeup, the Sassy Assassin, or is it its own? Or is it painted on like a bandit domino mask?
I would assume it's a little bit more of the latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the first time I saw was like when the Sassy Assassin first, before he spoke, when he just appeared in the ring, I thought it was some sort of Michael Stipe REM sort of like art rock situation.
I can see that.
Because there was a scarf, there was a black turtleneck, and you had a black stripe painted across your eyes, and I was like, it's Asuka and Michael Stipe. Those are the only two that ever do that.
Well, not the eye paint, but the scarf itself actually comes from my other line of work that I do on my day job, whereas I am a voice actor for anime and video games. And
okay.
Yeah, one of the...
And it gets very cold in those studios, so you need a scarf.
No, well, yeah.
It's method acting.
Yes, absolutely. I voiced a character in a popular show called One Punch Man called Speed of Sound Sonic, who is a ninja and wears the purple scarf just like the one that I have.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I kind of took inspiration out of that character, especially with the voice before adding the lisp. It's kind of a very similar
yeah.
Like, it's just a sneaky ninja, like a sneaky snake and a snaky sneaks, essentially.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I didn't know about Erik when we first, because like the thing that was always funny that I found to be really kind of remarkable was that Erik's been involved in wrestling, pro wrestling for a while, and he always does these completely over the top characters where like he hits certain nuances in the characters, and whenever he has to like do bits or he has to do any sort of talking segments or promos or what have you, he nails it every time. And I was talking to you, and it really does make sense that you're a voiceover actor. I mean, how'd you get involved in that?
Well, I'm actually from Seattle, and there was a Japanese voice actress who wanted to teach over there, and I got involved with that group. She taught us the Japanese way of anime dubbing, which is actually a little different from American dubbing, but I won't go into that. That would be a whole different... So I took theater through high school, college. I majored in it. And afterwards, I moved down here to pursue a career in voice acting. Along the way, I fell back in love with wrestling. I've always been in love with it. And I've always been in the booth just using my voice to act. I'm just like, I really miss using my body to act. I miss performing in front of crowds. And theater scene's pretty okay out here, but I've always had the love for wrestling. And I saw the school open up, Brian Kendrick's School of Wrestling. And that's where I've been training at the Santino Brothers Dojo down in Bell Gardens, California.
The thing that's crazy is that, like, you get recognized for being a voice actor, right? That people will know who you are. Like, you go to cons and stuff like that.
Yeah, in the right environments, yes. Like, that's the great thing about being a voice actor is you're anonymous. Like, even if people know the shows you've worked on, it's only in the environment of like a con where people come to see voice actors or they know they're going to be there that they start recognizing, and they treat you like rock stars at these conventions. They'll fly us out and put us up in these hotels. But yeah, it's great, and I'm kind of hoping to cross over the voiceover and wrestling. Hopefully, get some wrestling at anime conventions because I think there's a lot of crossover in the fan bases.
Oh yeah, there almost have to be. Well, it's funny because I didn't really consider this until you mentioned it, but like I always said about filmmaking. Whenever I made a movie, or a short or whatever, I always felt like it used absolutely everything I knew about art at once, because especially making shit. This is like when we would make things down in Alabama, you would have to you'd have to come up with the soundtrack yourself. You would have to, you'd have to know a little bit about photography, a little bit about acting. You kind of have to use everything. I imagine for somebody with a theater background, wrestling is very similar. It has to be very similar to that, where it's just like a totally, pan-optic kind of experience where it's just everything that you know about performing kind of rolled into one thing.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. I mean, that's where I approached it, and I've also taken a lot of stage combat beforehand.
Right.
So it's just kind of rolling into that, and
literally,
exactly.
Literally rolling into it.
You know to sell, you know to make everything big.
Big, yeah. You're playing to the cheap seats.
Exactly.
Always.
Yes,
yeah.
Every time. And that's also, something you do in voiceover, because you don't get the micro expressions in animation, so you have to be bigger with the emotions.
Right, yeah.
So a lot of crossover in everything, and I'm finding that also in the crossover in the entertainment industry, how the business is handled.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So I'm enjoying the ride. It's not something I ever expected, but I'm telling myself I'm just making my younger self jealous as possible.
Hey, man, that's what it's about, right?
If I ever told my younger self he would be voicing in Sailor Moon and wrestling in shows,
dude,
he would probably piss himself.
That's amazing.
So we're almost, the show's almost about to start, but we asked Darwin this: what match made you want to be a pro wrestler?
It's probably a very cliche answer, but it's the Undertaker, Mankind, Hell in a Cell match.
Hey man, we're probably about the same age. I feel like that's probably the answer for a lot of people in our age range. Yeah,
I managed to. I didn't watch a lot of wrestling because it was banned in my house.
Oh yeah.
So my parents would let me pick up like highlight VHS tapes. So like the Mankind and the Undertakers, who were my two favorites.
Wait, your parents wouldn't let you watch on TV, but then you could rent it from Blockbuster and shit?
I guess. I don't know. There was weird rules.
Yeah.
It was like once a week I could watch it. So I didn't watch Raw or SmackDown. I watched Live Wire on Saturday, which recapped both. Because that recapped both, and I could just catch up.
My parents had weird shit like that.
And Sonny was the host, so that was like if you were a pre-pubescent or pubescent boy around that time, and Sonny was on there. That's programming at 10 a.m. It's just like perfect.
My parents had weird shit like that, where like if they were like trying to ground me, they'd be like, "You could not watch TV. You can listen to the radio or play video games, but you can't watch TV." I'm like, but that's the same. Okay.
All right.
This is barely punishment.
Can I just get the radio banned?
Oh, dude, what? No, why would you want to miss out on Y102, Montgomery's pop station? 1999, baby. They were just playing Everlast, Do You Know What It's Like, and Chris Gaines over and over.
Erik, got any plugs?
Well, yes, if you didn't hear, the Sassy Assassin will be around Wrestling Pro Wrestling, and he'll be around Hood Slam coming up. I can't announce anything quite yet in the realm of anime. My Sailor Moon series just came out. I was the villain in the latest season, one of the villains, so...
We're getting crotch chopped from across the bar. I love it. It's so much more disturbing in basketball shorts.
It's going to be coming out next year, so hopefully the license isn't too far off, and we'll be able to do that. But I can't announce anything about that until I hear about it.
Okay.
But just watch anime, and you'll find Erik around there. Twitter, if anybody finds you on Twitter, what would they?
Yep, Kimerer, Kimerer. And you can also catch me on Facebook at Erik Scott VO, and Instagram at Kimerer as well.
Yeah, and this guy is verified. So
verified, hellified, talented son of a bitch.
Top Twitter talent.
Hell yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for coming on, Erik.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much for having me.
Thank you, sir. We're sitting here with Ricotta Flair, AKA
the Jon Allen. How you doing? Boy, we sure had some snow the other day.
I mean, that really is the appropriate voice for this bar, I think. Yeah. Where we are right now, that is how I imagine most of the people, most of the patrons do sound.
Most of the denizens of this bar are Stu Hart.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry, everybody.
Jon plays I would say signature character of Wrestling Pro Wrestling, Ricotta Flair. Yep. That is Ric Flair with a bucket of ricotta cheese for a head.
Woo! It's the cheesiest player of the game, my man.
The culture boy.
The courteous player, the natural boy.
Oh, man. So I saw that you guys were out at Hollywood Boulevard, the anus of the world.
Oh, my, yes.
Tell us a little bit about that day, because it was the hottest day in Los Angeles so far. I believe it was 107 degrees.
It was ridiculous. I don't think it was the hottest, because around Anime Expo time in July, we got up to around 120 out here in the valley. But it wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
And he said, like, hey guys, we're gonna go and have flyers, maybe get some more people in the building,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know.
That's a great Brian Kendrick, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah, no, Ricotta up 8 minutes, But I told him, I was like, hey, maybe we do it in Burbank, because that's a little bit closer to the venue. It's a little bit more of an impulse buy.
Yeah.
So we went down there, and it was Kid Isaac, Sassy Assassin, Darwin. And the problem was this. The people on that boulevard are either inundated with other costume characters trying to hustle them for money.
Yeah.
So they're trained to say, no, get away from me.
To everyone in a costume.
And then the other people on that boulevard are inundated with meth.
Yeah.
So,
and they're dressed as Superman.
yeah. So at a certain point, best intentions. I'm glad that we started doing things like that to get take the fight to them.
Of course.
With promoting.
Yeah.
But I said, hey, we got a bunch of flyers left. How about we go to this Target maybe 2 miles from the venue? So we did that. And
Oh, okay. You got rid of them there.
our numbers were better last month. So
yeah, fuck
something
yeah.
worked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something worked.
I'd like to imagine the interaction between Ricotta Flair and the guy in the Elmo costume.
Oh, God.
Because I've seen one of the Elmos back by a dumpster relieving himself, and there's nothing more sad/interesting than watching a person in a full-length Elmo suit trying to heed nature's call by a dumpster, trying to be discreet, but still trying to keep the Elmo suit on. It's like very, very weird.
Oh, I almost got into it with Cookie Monster one time down
Serious?
there. Yeah, so I do Hollywood tours. That's my day gig, and I always tell people when we get down there, I'm like, listen. This is the only place where you have to listen to what I'm telling you. All right, feel free to ignore me the rest of the day. Don't talk to anybody. Don't look at anybody. Definitely don't take a picture of Spider-Man, and don't take anything from the Scientologist or the backpack rappers.
Oh, no.
That's what I say to everybody. And we were down there. It was early. I always like to get there early in the day so we don't have to deal with those people generally. Yeah. And it was just me and this family, and we just see Cookie Monster making a beeline for us, and I'm just like, oh, fuck me. And he's like going to try to come take a picture with us. And so like he gets near us, and I literally just start going, no, until he backs off.
Did you have a cookie? I mean, why was he singling you out?
Because we were the only people out there. We were there so early. He was like, oh, this is my first hit of the day. And I could hear him behind the costume.
I don't think it was his first hit of the day.
Well, no, definitely not in that way. But we were the first marks of the day. And I could hear him behind the costume just like, man, fuck you, motherfucker. Like from behind the fur.
Dude, some of the costumes are really good. I saw what was like a seriously like Walking Dead.
Ooh.
Perfect, But then I looked closer and it was Tara Reid, so...
Oh, okay.
Boom! She hasn't even done nothing to me. Where did that come from?
I legitimately did see her standing outside the Roosevelt Hotel one time, so that is her habitat.
My favorite one that I ever saw was there was a guy that's Jules Winfield from Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And he's a spitting image of Samuel L. Jackson as Jules Winfield. But, and this is the big caveat, he had an incredibly high-pitched voice. So he's like walking down. He's like, the path of the righteous man is beset on all sides. And it's like,
what does Marcellus Wallace look like?
And it's like, I feel so bad for this guy because it's like, you've got it. You've got the look, but you're missing the important element that is like really just takes away the entire character once you open your mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, he's kind of known for his big, deep speeches.
Right.
Sort of kills the gimmick a little bit. Video killed the radio star a little bit, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. So besides wrestling, pro wrestling, you're obviously around in the scene all over Southern California. Where is you don't have to blow smoke just because we're in the midst of wrestling, pro wrestling. Like, where is the most fun? Like, what's the most fun city to wrestle in?
Oh, I would definitely fun city to wrestle in.
Yeah.
That's tricky because I've had a lot of fun out in Vegas doing the freak show wrestling stuff as well. But I like it out here a lot.
Yeah,
it's way more fun for me when I don't have the overhead of a couple tanks of gas.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah, that's fair.
So there's that. I mean, like we're out in Burbank today. I'm in North Hollywood, so it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away. I can.
Oh, you just got out of bed then, probably.
More or less.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So for freak show wrestling, that's Sin Bodhi's wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you wrestle as Ricotta Flair, or what do you wrestle as?
No. Ricotta Flair, at least for the moment, is exclusive to wrestling, pro wrestling. I'm Donald Trump on freak show wrestling.
Wait, you're
Donald Trump.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd done a couple of other minor gimmicks for him back in the day, and then around the time when Donnie's campaign of Evil Orange began, I came to him with a couple ideas. I said, hey, I'd like to do something topical. And he's like, what do you got in mind? I was like, well, I'd either like to be that gal who wouldn't marry the gay couple, Kim Davis.
Oh
I thought it'd be so ridiculous to wrestle as her. And I swear to God, I could have gotten that over.
That's amazing.
Or Donald Trump. But
yeah.
he went with the safer one. He's like, let's try Don.
This one's easier. Yeah.
So we went with that, and it went over like gangbusters from the first time we did it, because the first time we did it was in East LA.
Oh, shit.
Kind of a Hispanic community out there.
No, really?
I hadn't even done nothing yet. Just coming out as him, and the middle fingers were flying at me.
Hell yeah.
So
hell yeah.
Yeah, we were onto something. I tried to play him as dumb as, yeah, I am number one. Yes. Trying to play his how everything goes over his head.
Right.
I thought when you said Jonald, I thought it was like a toilet for a head or something.
Well, I mean, that's not a bad idea.
That's a WPW idea
we just
there.
called it Donald Trump for the longest time, and then Sin wanted me to have some level of credit for it, so crediting Jon Allen a bit. So he decided we're going to call it Jonald Trump.
Jonald.
But everybody knows it's obviously Donald, and when people they just fuck you Trump, they don't really call it by Jonald. That's just a credit sort of thing.
Yeah, of course. Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, because I really took on to the J thing, so I don't know if it was like a punny sort of a hybrid, as it were.
It was just sort of something he was trying to, make it something that like, hey, this is the guy who does the impression, and he's kind of the originator. He's the first guy to wrestle as him, so to speak, and all that.
Yeah. What is this is a thing I like to ask comedians, and I think there's a lot of parallels except between comedy and wrestling, except that of course wrestlers do stuff. But I always like to hear about shitty road gigs. Do you have any wrestling nightmares in that regard?
I don't know, man. I've been pretty fortunate. I'll say that at Freak Slam, the last time I did the Trump gimmick for Sin, I took probably the nastiest bump I'd ever taken from the Stoner Brothers, where they give me the something nasty. And you can tuck your chin all you want, but when you got 300 pounders chucking you by the legs,
oh shit,
that's a nasty back bump.
Okay, goddamn. Well, shit, man. Thank you for talking to us. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Twitter at King Jon Allen, KingJonAllen. I forgot how to spell my name.
I was literally, I was going to be.
Or you can just, all the social media things, you can just go to my comedy website at jonallencomedy.com, and all the links are there. I'm a voice actor and stuff, so if you're into that, you can check that out as well.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for doing it, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. I got to wrestle some birds.
Well, I mean, you have to wrestle with the Fromage Horseman, so...
Yeah, against some birds, though. I thought I was wrestling the free birds. Turns out it was the three birds. Woo! That sucks.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at TheGoodsPod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.